All right, let's go to your mock draft, your 13th mock draft in the last 4 days. But I do like this one. I will say this.
The fourth in the whole process.
Okay, but I will say this, and I'm just going to say this, and I like him as a kid, but as I get new information, and this is what I do. I'm in the information business, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You have a lot of confirmation bias. I don't know if the opinion comes before the information or if it's the information and then the opinion.
This is an incredibly...
I know, I'm hammering on you, I know.
That's okay. It's an incredibly deep running back draft.
Yeah.
I can't take Saquon Barkley in the top 10. I'll say it right now. I love the kid.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
There are a few things that you've been spot on today. And one of them that you said, and you kind of passed over it, and you talked about having dinner with a source in the league. And you talked about, it was very brief, you said, really deep running back draft. I mean, spot on. That it is really deep at running back. And Barkley is an interesting case because he has now become the guy in the draft that is off limits. Like, you cannot criticize Saquon Barkley or have an opinion that is less than amazing about Saquon Barkley. And I get it. He's a phenomenal kid. I love Saquon Barkley as a player, as a person, getting to meet with him before some of those games. I love him. I really do. I would love him on my team. Now, you have to take that with also some of the evidence. Again, like, let's collect all the evidence.
Data.
What would you say if I told you that if you took every carry last year and you bore it out as a batting average, like the percentage of carries that went 4 or more yards?
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
That's a real,
because you're playing
that's a
good
percentage.
Opponents, bad opponents,
Sure.
bye week, no bye week.
If I told you his batting average was 470, 47%, 470.
What do you mean?
47% of his carries went 4 or more yards.
So less than half of his
carries. Less than half. All the other backs in this draft are way over 500. Well over 50%. All the backs in the last 3 years that have been drafted in the first round, well over 500. In fact, the lowest back that was drafted in the first round in terms of their percentage of carries that went 4 or more yards was 519. Okay, so 51%. So he's 4% lower than that. The FBS average was 471. He was 470. Well, you could say, well, he's a home run hitter. Okay, let's look at that then. What does the evidence tell you about the home runs? Because we saw some of the highlights, and they're phenomenal because he's so explosive. Percentage of carries that went 10-plus yards. That's going to give it to us,
yeah,
right?
That's a big chunk.
That's a big one. His average was about 13. It was 134 if you're taking it as a batting average. 134. Guess what the FBS average was?
All players, all backs.
All backs across college football.
What?
134. He was the lowest of any of the backs in this year's draft that are considered top 6 or 7 backs. In fact, their average was much higher, above 150. Okay, so you're talking about 15% or higher. If you look at all the backs that were drafted in the first round, if you're looking at Ezekiel Elliott and Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette and Gurley and all of these guys, their big runs percentage of 10 or more was all over 150, so 15% or more. So he falls below some of these thresholds if you're just talking about running back numbers that I think you got to pay attention to if you're some of these teams. I will state this again because I know this can get edited up in a lot of different ways. I love him as a player.
But you don't want to pick him. I'll say it for you. I'll say it for you. I have a dinner last night with a GM, and I posed it to him. I just said, what do you make of this draft? He goes, bad wide receiver, outrageously deep at running back.
It's really good. Can I just list a few of them that people aren't talking about?
Let's talk about the kid up at Oregon.
Royce Freeman is a really quality back.
230 and can run. Nobody's talking about him.
Rashad Penny from San Diego State. I've had 2 different head coaches in the National Football League tell me they think he is a home run. Okay, that verbatim. Home run player.
You can get him in the 3rd round.
You might be able to get him in the middle 2nd round. I think Geis is a really solid player. Both Georgia backs are tremendous players.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones is a tremendous player. And all of those guys had averages that were much higher than Saquon Barkley in the categories that I spoke of earlier. Percentage of runs that went 4 or more yards and percentage of runs that went 10 or more yards.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's really good.
Really good.
Really good at Georgia.
Really good.
And by the way, he went up against those SEC defenses for 2 years and ate them alive.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.